you very much. It's so good to be back here in Utah and to see so many familiar faces that I've known for so many years. And I am overwhelmed by what is happening here. I remember when Women Tech Council was just an idea, and Sid shared a few ideas and facts about it many, many years ago, and it's exciting to see what it has become. But I am deeply honored to introduce our keynote speaker, with whom I've had the pleasure of serving as a fellow advisor to the Pasadena Technology Incubator Idea Lab. In the course of those few years, I watched her advise young startups with both vision and realism, and with a combination of dignity and thoughtfulness that I can describe only as so Julie Hanna. More important than these valuable traits of leadership are the ways in which she has chosen to apply them for enduring impact at scale. After participating in several successful acquisitions, she took on a role as executive chairman of Kiva, an international nonprofit that has crowdfunded loans amounting to nearly $1 billion to more than 2 million entrepreneurs in 80 countries. In a world where technology has threatened to divide us economically, balkanize us politically, and sometimes even compete with the very people who are already most at risk, Julie Hanna has dedicated herself to the same common goods to which we aspire at Women Tech Council. She's been a powerful catalyst for unlocking innovation and entrepreneurial verve, tapping into our universal desire to be of service and creating opportunity in a way that lifts us all. I'll now step aside to let another individual, far more qualified than I, complete this introduction.
Julie Hanna, where's Julie? There she is. Julie will use her expertise leading Kiva to increase access to capital around the world. Her project commits to delivering $100 million in crowd-funded loans to 200,000 women and young entrepreneurs across 86 different countries.
Julie Hanna. Where's Julie? There she is.
Taking care of business every day. Taking care of business every way. I've been taking care of business.
It is my deep, deep delight and inspiration to be here. You know, I travel around the world, around the country, and you can tell a lot about a place by the kind of conversations that are occurring, the kind of questions that come up. And just listening to Sydney today, listening to Lieutenant Cox, Lieutenant Governor Cox, sorry, I gave you a new job there. You know, I feel like I'm visiting the future. And, you know, I don't know if you realize this, because sometimes when we're close to things, we don't, but you all have a level kind of evolution and mindset that I think the rest of the world is an exemplar to the rest of the world and to the rest of the country. And so I just want to honor and celebrate that, and I'm thrilled to be here. And I just want to applaud you for that. And Tom, thank you so much. It is such an honor to be introduced so warmly, so generously by someone whose work in humanity I admire so much. Thank you. You know, today is ultimately a celebration of the most hopeful truth that I know, that one dream can transform a million realities. It's all it really ever has, because it doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, what injustices you face. Dreams don't discriminate. They're the great equalizer. They liberate us from all prejudice. And connecting the dots on my own life helped me understand just how much dreams had shaped my journey. A journey that's led me to the front lines of the tech revolution that began on the front lines of war. Dreams that were born out of my heritage as an Egyptian, an immigrant, and a refugee. And while our memories connect us to the past, it is our dreams that shape our future. The war was Black September, and without warning, it came to our door and brought darkness with it. One of my earliest memories was waking up in my father's arms as he ran towards a hole in the ground and bombs fell on our heads. We lived in that hole, in that darkness, not knowing what would happen to us. Minutes became hours, hours became days, and days became weeks. And when we came out again, everything familiar to us had been torn apart. Our house was riddled with bullets, and then the bombs would come again, and we'd return to that hole. My last memory was of running with my classmates. One minute we were running to play, and then the next minute we were running for our lives as Army tanks opened fire on our one-room schoolhouse. I was 5 years old and terrified I'd never see my family again. But I was very lucky. I did find my family. We fled into the countryside, and we eventually found refuge in Beirut. And then war found its way to our door again, and the Lebanese civil war broke out. And again, we were lucky. We escaped, and we found our way and sought refuge in the United States. We brought a great hope for building a new life in a new land. But I quickly saw that hope turn to struggle. My parents couldn't find work. We didn't have a place to live. And years later, my mother told me, after you and your sister would go to sleep, I would stay up trying to figure out how I was going to feed you. And there were very nice people who helped us along the way. There was always a look in their eyes I didn't understand. There was an expression on my parents' face I didn't understand. And there was always a feeling inside of me I didn't understand. And it's taken me the better part of a lifetime to realize that that expression in those nice people's eyes was pity. That the expression on my face was seeing their dignity being chipped away. And that feeling that was so unfamiliar, that I didn't know how to explain to myself as a child, was deep shame. And it's also taken me the better part of a lifetime to understand that if your circumstances are broken, it doesn't mean that you are. And that if your circumstances are extraordinary, it doesn't mean you are. I often think about that classroom, and I wonder what happened to my classmates. What I know for certain is that the access to opportunity that I got is likely the most important difference between us as human beings. I'm reminded that every time I see struggle, I wonder how lack of access has played a role in that person's sense of identity and their sense of possibility. And when I see images of today's refugees, I'm reminded of the running and of the fleeing. And I'm reminded of the fine line that divides us, a line that I believe we all walk. Those experiences made me dream of a better future. And in many ways, those dreams saved my life. I dreamt of a world that understands that the near enemy of pity, the near enemy of compassion, is pity. I dreamt of a world that regards dignity as an inalienable human right. I dreamt of a world that understands that talent is universal, but opportunity is not. Most of all, I dreamt of a world that understands that a cornerstone of justice is fair access. Now, Walt Disney says that a dream, or said that a dream is a wish that your heart has. I would add that our head is what turns our dreams into reality, and the distance between the two is called determination. I came to Silicon Valley with those dreams and a computer science degree, and I came to believe that technology could enable fair access, that maybe it could just put a little bit of power into the hands of people that didn't have it, people like my family. And that was a future I wanted to help create, and it's a future I'm proud to say is a growing part of our present. For the first time in our history, virtually any human being has access to the world's body of information and can communicate with virtually any other person in the world. And that's bringing us one massive step closer to a more prosperous, free, and just world. There are almost as many cell phone subscriptions as people on the planet, 1.5 billion more than have access to a toilet. It took about 20 years for that to happen. There are over 3 billion people on the internet, 1.5 billion people on Facebook. It took about 10 years for that to happen. We're living in a global digital village where what's local is now global and what's global feels local. And it's reminding us of how interconnected that we are. So I've come to believe that technology is the most democratizing force in the history of humankind. And 10 years ago, Kiva pioneered what we now know as crowdfunding. And this is what's happened since. This is a time-based data visualization of actual loans being made all over the world. And each light missile is a person-to-person flow of money across the globe. In most cases, $25 at a time, in every case, one person at a time. I like to think of that as data with a soul. In our first year, 3,000 people made $1 million in loans. Today, $1 million is loaned every 3 or 4 days. A loan is made every 4 to 7 seconds. And today, 2 million entrepreneurs living in the riskiest parts of the world and here at home have received almost $1 billion in capital, as you heard Tom mention. That's 33 million loans funded by people living in 190 countries, literally every corner of the planet. And in a world that threatens to divide us, Kiva reminds us that we're all part of one tribe, the human tribe. 97% of those loans have been repaid in full, flipping conventional wisdom we have about risk and bank lending on its head. And it fuels a powerful cycle, relending. Over time, $25 has the impact of 50, 50 has the impact of 100, 100 has the impact of 1,000, and so on. And I'm deeply proud of the fact that 1.5 million of those entrepreneurs are women. It's women like Kiva's first borrower, Elizabeth Omala, a widowed mother of 5, who took a $500 loan and grew her profits and scaled her business enough to begin sending her children to school. It's women like the sewing co-op formed by survivors of sex trafficking that are rebuilding their lives, one sewing machine at a time. It's women like Teresa Goins, who started a supper club in the most dangerous neighborhood in San Francisco to give gang members and kids who tangled with the law a future beyond prison. And it's men like Erastus Kamani, a 73-year-old retired school teacher, who explained to me in Swahili that he had become an entrepreneur because he wanted to send his 6 daughters not just to school but to college. These are the unsung heroes of entrepreneurship, and they possess more grit and resilience and stamina and ingenuity than Silicon Valley's most celebrated entrepreneurs. And Kiva's helping us all understand that the fastest way to transform a society here in the US and around the world is by investing in women. Because the loan begins by changing that woman's life, and then it changes her families, and then her communities, ultimately planting the seeds that can change the fate of a nation. All because women reinvest 90% of their income in others. And I also know that in a world where women's hands do 60% of the work, grow 50% of our food, and yet earn just 10% of the world's income and own 1% of the land, that our work has just begun. And here in the US, at a time where over 50% of women leave their jobs at the height of their career, our work must continue. And at a time when the number of technology degrees being awarded to women is declining, our work must continue. And as long as a gender pay gap exists, we must not rest. And most importantly, as President Obama has implored, if we truly want enduring change, we must change the way that we see ourselves. How can we co-create a future where children's aspirations are not segregated into pink and blue? How can we be the change that we wish to see? We need to keep changing the attitudes that raises girls to be demure and boys to be assertive, that criticizes our daughters for speaking out and our sons for shedding a tear. We need to change the attitude that punishes women for their sexuality and gives a pat on the back to men for theirs. We need to change an internet where women are routinely harassed and threatened when they go online. And we need to keep changing the attitude that congratulates men for changing a diaper, stigmatizes full-time dads, and penalizes working moms. And we need to change the attitude that prioritizes being confident and ambitious and driven in the workplace, except for when it comes to women. We need to change a culture that shines a harsh light, particularly on women of color, about how they look, how they act, what they should and shouldn't do, whether they're being too assertive or too angry. And we need to channel Maya Angelou's fierce wisdom to let our righteous anger be the fuel of change so that we can avoid the cancer of bitterness. And amplifying relatable role models is the most powerful way to bring about that change, to shape a society in our own aspirations, to unlock human potential, because it's hard to be what you can't see. And we need to remember Gloria Steinem's words that women have always been an equal part of the past. We just haven't been an equal part of history. We need to change that by expanding our great arc of history to include her story too. We need to know that Ada Lovelace was the world's first programmer, and that that's a way more interesting and important historical fact than that she was Lord Byron's daughter. And that long before hoodies and programmers, this is what an engineer looked like. And this is what an engineer looks like. We need the world to know that Grace Hopper wrote the first compiler and coined the term debug when she found an actual moth had caused her program to crash. And this is what an engineer looked like, so that when we celebrate Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin's moon landing, we also celebrate Margaret Hamilton as the engineer's work that got them there and all the Apollo missions there. And when we celebrate John Glenn's historic moon orbit, we also celebrate Katherine Johnson as the human computer that got him there back and back safely. Your tireless work to amplify role models at every turn is so important and well served. Because again, as Maya Angelou reminds us, people live in direct relation to their heroes and their sheroes. And you all are sheroes. You instinctively know that it is better to light a candle in the dark than to curse the darkness. And your dreams have made you leaders in your field. Most important, as women, we understand that a word more important than he or she is we. We understand that all of us are here in this room because we stand on the shoulders of giants that came before. So now, how do we grow shoulders big enough for others to stand on? Because when we all contribute to this virtuous cycle of humanity, we can teach every woman and nameless child to dream. And we give back to the world a portion of its lost heart. One dream can change and transform a million realities. It's all that ever has, and that's the most hopeful truth that I know. My deep gratitude for your work, for your impact, and congratulations to you all. You are all heroes and sheroes in my eyes. Thank you.
Every day, taking care of business. Every way I've been taking care of business. It's all right, taking care of business.
Thank you. Thank you for those inspiring words. All day I've been inspired by the message that you've given, and it always makes me reflect on, like, am I spending my time doing those things that create a greater impact for the people around me and for the world at large? And I think there's so many people in here who spend that. Thank you for that message. For those of you who are new to the Women Tech Awards, we made a statue a number of years ago that we call Defying Gravity. It was made by a local artist, Andrew Smith. And for us, it represents what we believe all of these women are doing. They're defying gravity and they're making impact. And so we made one for you for coming to speak with us today. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Does that mean I'm a shero too now?
Yes, you are.
Thank you.